Hello, everybody. This is Beth Worsdell, sci-fi fantasy author of Earth Angels, and I'm here today to interview Natasha Raulerson. Thank you so much for joining me, Natasha.
Oh, it's great to be here. I love talking with you on the chat and everything like that. So I'm super excited just to see you face to face.
I've been really excited because I'm only recently started really getting into romance. Although when I was younger, I used to love all the teen romance and that type of thing. But I've only just started really getting into that adult romance. So it's a bit new to me. But can I just, I love your hat.
Thank you. I got it. Actually, it was a birthday present to myself this year. And I just loved it and everybody loves it. So I just keep it with me all the time now.
I love it. I'm just going to quickly see if I can get our stream over to the Writers Rock group.
All right.
Now, am I lagging behind here on my voice? Is it lagging on your end or is it okay?
No, you seem okay to me.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Like the sound and the mouth match. So.
Oh, that's all right then. Right, I'm going to try and get it onto the groups. So I'm just going to try and share it now on Writers Rock and Writers Rock readers. Bear with me. Writers Rock readers. There we go. Okay, I think we're done. I think we're live. I think we're all good. Oh my gosh! So, as I said, I've been really excited to speak to you. Now, how long have you been actually writing for?
For probably 5 years, I kind of got serious about it. It was actually around, I don't know, 5-6 years now. I had to think about that one. I actually wrote my first story at 8, and my mom, love her, she was pack rat. She still had it. It was on like legal pad, front and back, the haunted house, because I write romantic suspense, but I love like dark stuff. So of course that would be my first story. But so I actually started writing urban fantasy. Like that's one of my favorite genres. Fell in, like just literally tumbled into romance. I can't even explain how it happened. It's just like it happened. And so in 2015, I got an agent off of a romance novel, actually, but unfortunately that novel didn't sell. And just recently we parted. Nothing bad, but she's pregnant with her second child, and she's like, I got to make some hard decisions, and that's cool. And I understand that totally. It's not easy with 2 little ones running around. Right. So right now I'm writing romantic suspense, and then I'm also writing psychological thrillers, which I will be querying again next year.
Wow, that's fantastic. And do you know what? I think the door seems to have really opened, hasn't it, for authors to write more than one genre nowadays.
Yeah.
I think it's acceptable.
I think authors have always done that, just they do it under a pen name. Like if you look at Nora Roberts, she's a huge romance author, but also J.D. Robb, who is a huge mystery author. And I love the J.D. Robb books, like more than her romance books. I love her J.D. Robb books. And then you have, people are going to shoot me for this one, Harry Potter author, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. There you go. You have J.K. Rowling, who did her pen name to write something else as well.
McGrath?
Yeah, something like that. And yeah. So I think authors have always done it. I think now it's just more open for us to keep one name and potentially write under multiple genres, especially because I think it was easier for people to conceal themselves before, like if they didn't want to have their picture out there or something like that. And I think now it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, nowadays with the internet and everything else, you can't get away with anything nowadays, can you?
Nope. Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit. So it's just, and like, so I know some authors definitely still do. Like I know some erotic authors decide to write sweet romance under a different pen name just because like the audiences may not click. Like if you're writing erotica and then you want to move to kids novels, I could see using a pen name under one or the other. Yeah. But I think Colleen Hoover, she writes romance. She put out a psychological thriller under her same name. I think it just kind of depends on your situation.
Yeah, Absolutely. So if you wrote your first story at 8 years old then, which I think is lovely that your mum kept that. You don't have to get it framed. I think that's lovely.
That's at my house in Fort Lauderdale. We're at my parents right now. So that's why sorry guys, I don't have any of my books with me. She probably has them somewhere, but I don't have the copies with me, and 4 hours away from home, so I can't just run across the street and get them.
And we can put the link. We can put the links on, and I've definitely got to tell everybody to check them out, because I looked at your reviews and they're absolutely amazing. But when you started writing at 8, what sort of were you interested at that time? Who were your favorite authors?
So there was Francine Pascal, the Sweet Valley series, but I started with kids. So my mom used to work at Kmart, and this was back in the day where we were kind of latchkey kids, and so like the staff knew who I was, so I got to roam a little bit as a little kid in Kmart, because the people behind the counter knew me, the people roaming everybody knew me. But I would always hit up the book section, and so they had a lot of Sweet Valley, and then I went through kids pretty quick, and then I was on to the twins, which had all the haunted stories, which I loved, because it was like, and then there was the Unicorn Club, which was like their 8th grade year. But I was also at that point reading the Nancy Drew / Hardy Boy mysteries.
Yes.
But not the individual books. There was actually crossovers of Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, which nobody seems to know about.
No,
but I loved those books. I loved the crossover of Nancy Drew and Frank Hardy. Like those were amazing. And I would reread them all the time and stuff like that. So I was definitely into like this, mystery side of things. And then R.L. Stine, loved Fear Street. So I was pretty eclectic. I liked a lot of different ones. Even the ones they made us read in school. The Outsiders was probably one of my all-time favorites as a teen.
I love that.
Yeah.
Loved it. And when the movie came out, I was it was one of the few films that actually did the book justice, I thought.
Yes. Yeah, it was really, really good. And I think they casted everybody pretty perfectly. I was so amazed at that. And then, she was Essie Hinton was my favorite like teenage author. Like I went through and I read all the books she had at the time. And I love like watching her on Twitter. I mean, I don't go on Twitter anymore just because I find it to be a very negative place these days. But when I was more active on Twitter, like I just loved watching her comments and seeing her talk about The Outsiders. And, so it's really cool that you can kind of connect with your favorite childhood or current authors on social media now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just quickly, Rachel Hill has very kindly posted all your links for you. So
that is my personal assistant. She's amazing.
Thank you, Rachel. You're awesome.
Yeah, she is. She is. Yeah, we just started working together, and she's been helping me so much, because I am just like a mess when it comes to posting my own links and keeping track of myself. I forget things all the time, and she keeps on top of me, so that's great.
That is tough for an author, though. I mean, you've got a young child, you work full time as well.
Yes.
I don't think people quite realize how tough it is to juggle everything. There's never enough hours in the day, is there?
No. And before we came to my parents, I was telling Beth prior, I live in a townhouse it's like a communal yard between, like, there's 2 rows of townhouses. So it's back to back. And then you have like this strip of grass. And so I can't take my son out there. He's 3. He doesn't understand. You can't run up and say hi to the neighbors, and you can't go play with the other kids. He doesn't understand that. So we have an upstairs balcony, and from there he'd be like, "Hey, hi guys," kind of a thing. But he was going stir crazy. I was going stir crazy. I'm home 24/7 with a 3-year-old, working a day job from home, like many other people who have multiple kids. So, I bow down to them with the multiple kids. And, I was kind of going a little insane. Like I broke down once or twice. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so that's when we kind of made the decision. We'd been in the house for a month and a half. My husband was like, "Go to your parents." We had like a family powwow. And so I've been up here for almost a month now. But he's got 7 acres now, 2 acres fenced in. He can just run. So gets the energy out much better.
I bet he sleeps well at night.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, because at home he was super, he wants attention. He's 3. So it's like, I'm trying to type or do something for my day job, and he's literally sitting on my shoulders or flopping over into my lap or pushing my hands away from the keyboard. Mommy, play with me. Mommy, watch Paw Patrol with me. And you feel horrible because it's like, but baby, I got to work so you can eat. So, but, and then, it's like, so at night, I'm lucky enough to have an amazing husband who would sit there and he'd come home from work and he'd take them off my hands for a little bit. But at that point, my brain's kind of fried too. So it's like, do I have the energy to even write? Like, can I just go have a drink and lay in bed and just not think about anything for a while? But even on those nights, I would write. So,
I mean, we're in such an unprecedented time at the moment.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've never encountered anything like this in my lifetime, and I'm coming up to the big 50 next year.
You're young.
I'm in denial. But it is unprecedented, isn't it? And it's I love you. You're awesome.
You're super. Please.
It's a crazy.
I'm 37. You're my older sister. What are you talking about?
You and me are becoming best friends. Do you know that? What inspired you to actually write a book then? I mean, is it something that you've thought about doing, or did it happen by accident? How did you get to the point you are now?
So I've always, like, from 8 years old, I had journals. Like, I kept a journal every day all the way through high school. I started writing poetry, short stories, and everything. And I just kept doing it. And there's plenty of my stories that will never see the light of day. They're lost on a hard drive somewhere because, before we had clouds and everything like that, it was just word processor and, saving it to a computer. And, if you didn't have 3 flash drives or an external hard drive, then, if you got rid of that computer, you lost your stuff. So, and that stuff doesn't need to be found. So I knew it was something in some way I always wanted to do. So even as I got older, and I just kept writing, and I kept writing short stories, and I went back to school in my late 20s, early 30s, because I just didn't have the opportunity prior to that. There was a lot that went on in my 20s between me and my husband. My husband had cancer. His sister passed away cystic fibrosis. There was a lot going on in the 20s. When we were 18, we moved to Jacksonville because his sister was having a double lung transplant, So there was just it was what it was. So I just knew I didn't want to work in call centers or have dead-end jobs for the rest of my life. So I went back to school, but I went back to school with the purpose of taking as many creative writing and fiction classes as I could, because I knew I wanted to write. And whether that was just writing or more of in mind also becoming an editor, for like a big house or something like that, I just knew I wanted to write and be a part of that world. So, I wound up actually, when I was in college, I wrote a short story that won 2nd place in Writer's Digest.
Wow.
And, so I won like $500. I got a, little stamp that was like, you won, here's $500. I think I got like $100 gift card to their store plus a year subscription to their magazine. So that was pretty cool. I haven't won anything since, but that was pretty cool.
Something like that, I bet that gave you so much more confidence and gave you a boost.
No. I thought they made a mistake, honestly. I was like,
really?
No, yeah. I was like, I wrote her back. I was like, are you serious? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure. I mean, as much as I've done that and I've had an agent, and I've been an intern at a different literary agency. As much of the process as I've gone through, and I've published books, and I will tell you straight up, I know that my first book needs to be re-edited because I kind of brushed it out there, and I should have known better with all the stuff, but I didn't. And I did it, and there's mistakes, and people have told me there's mistakes, like simple grammar mistakes that even a word checker could have got. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I rushed it.
It's very easy, isn't it, to when it's your first book, it's so easy to get caught up in the whole excitement of the process, because you can't believe you've actually written a book. It doesn't seem real, and then you get all excited, and also when you start actually telling like friends, family, and everybody that you've done it, their excitement is quite infectious as well. So it is.
And it is. And if you have like this online community of writers, then they're infectious too and stuff like that. So, and then it's like all of a sudden, here's life, here's you trying to publish a book. And now it's like, oh, you're down to the wire and you have pre-orders and you can't cancel those pre-orders and you need to click publish. So what are you going to do? So, you know, I know it needs to, and I plan on doing it eventually, but right now I'm just like so busy. It's like, I know there's problems with it, but you know what? I also know that I got invited to Shameless as a showcase author based off my first self-published novel. And that is insane because apparently other authors have, you know, been trying to do this for years. And I didn't know that. I just like would put in an interest form for a review. And it was like, hey, would, you know, and it's just part of their form, you know, would you be interested in signing? And like, I didn't know how much of a big deal it was. I had no idea till afterward that it's like really so amazing to be invited by them. And I was like, again, I was like, did you mean me? I don't know. But the people at Shameless like are just everybody who runs that and organizes that. They are amazing. They help you every step of the way, especially if you were, it was my first signing as a showcase author, which means you do the Friday night and not the main event. This year I'm doing the main event. I'm going to be in the main event, but for the first one, it's up and coming authors. So, you know, the people who reviewed my book like me so much, or like the books, not me, but the book so much that they extended an invite, and I've been absolutely humbled by that because that's one of the biggest romance signings like in the country. So it's insane.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think I just get lucky. I really do. I don't.
It's not luck. Confident. It's not luck. It's talent.
I tell people this all the time. Like, as much as I know that I've learned, I know I still need to learn a lot more, and I still feel like a novice. Like,
yeah,
I don't feel like an expert writer. I don't even feel like a medium writer. Like, like I still feel very novice and very new to all this because it seems like every time I do something, there's a mistake somewhere along the way that I'm learning from. So
yeah, I think we're all like that, to be honest with you. I'm a new author as well, and it is one ginormous learning curve. It really is. You never stop learning. Just quickly, we got I haven't got my glasses on. Clayton Lima from Brazil. Hello. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Confidence is a major thing, I think, for authors. It's very easy to have that self-doubt, isn't there? And I think for every 5-10 fantastic reviews you get, just that one can really knock our self-confidence.
But you see, I don't know. I think I'm weird in that way. Like, I don't take the reviews personal.
Yeah.
Still here? Because my screen just went black on the stream.
Oh, you're back. Don't worry. It didn't go black this end.
Okay. Are we here?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay. Both of my screens just started swirling black, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Everybody knows you're having a bit of bad weather your end today.
We did. It's actually sunny, so we're okay right now. But I actually had to knock off my day job early because my internet was going out like every 3 minutes, and I was like, I can't stay on the clock like this. So, you know, and then I went out there, and I'm like, you know, Mom, what's up with your internet? And she's like, what are you talking about? And so we walk into the living room, and all the lights are out, and I'm like, and then my dad's out there working on the circuit box because I guess the breaker box, something happened to that. Yeah. And of course, the one that he's hitting is the room with the box, the Wi-Fi box. So I was like, all right, well, don't do that this afternoon, please. But I still, you know, I can't be on the clock like that. But something was wrong. He wound up having to go to Ace Hardware and get it to fix it. So, you know, but it's okay. It gave me time to run my errands and all that stuff. But yeah, so no, I don't really. I try to learn what I can from the reviews. So like I said, I know I need to go back and edit this book again when I have time. And that's because some of the reviews are like, the story is great, but the editing is not. And I'm like, okay, that's my fault because I'm the one who rushed it. And that's something that's fixable. Or it's like, if I see something repetitive about a character or a scene, then it's like, okay, what can I take away from this that will make my next novel better? And if somebody's like crass and rude, I ignore it. I mean, I don't think it's hard, because if you go and you read some of your favorite authors' reviews, they have some of the most negative reviews you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So if they're going to get negative reviews, I think it's a little high and mighty of me to think I'm not going to get negative reviews. Like if Stephen King and Neil Gaiman are going to get thrown under the bus by somebody, somebody's going to throw me under the bus with a review. It's just, it is what it is.
It's one of the things that you can't please everybody all the time, and not everybody's going to connect with our work. That's just life. We've got somebody else that's joined us as well, Carrie Underley. Hi. Hey darling, thank you for joining us. If anyone's got any questions, then please let us know, because I can see the comments here. Even I am struggling without my glasses, I must admit, but I could just about read them. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, at the end of the day, whatever business you're in, you're going to get reviews. Do you find it? Do you actually share your reviews?
Say again.
Do you actually share your reviews when you get another good review? Do you actively share them?
Sometimes I have in the past, a few times, just like if I need to make a graphic or something like that. But I just fail at stuff like that. This is why I have a PA now. Like I've never kind of like, and it's funny because my day job is SEO and content marketing, which is, you know, great for my company, but you know, marketing myself, I'm horrible at. But anyways, no, sometimes I do. I've had a couple of readers actually email me, and it just blew my mind. Like, I'm like, what? You know, and, you know, if that is the case, I'll ask them, do you mind if I share this snippet? I won't share your name if you don't want me to, whatever. I always, like, if it's a public review, I think it's okay. But if somebody's privately messaging me, then my son just scared me. Come here, you want to say hi? No? Okay. The door just flew open and banged. And I was like, what just happened? Come here. Meemaw will be along. Woo! Sorry, guys. I'm turning because of a 3-year-old.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
He decided to join. All right. Go see Meemaw. No. Okay, no. He's just going to run around behind me. It's okay.
I wish it was still little like that. They're so fast.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He just, you know, he was doing great in daycare. Now he's home with me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm not as interesting as daycare, okay? But yeah, no, he's doing really well. But what I was saying, if it's public reviews, I think it's okay, like, to put on a graphic and share if you want to. But if somebody's privately messaging you, I think you should ask them, because I think there's a reason they're privately messaging you, which may mean they're not comfortable having it shared with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So what inspired, when did you release your first book?
My first book I released in March, I want to say, of 2018. Wait, we're in 2019. No, we're in 2020. 2019. Don't ask me to do dates in quarantine. What is that? Yeah, so March of 2019. I had actually written the book, I want to say in 2017. So this was actually the second book. At the time I had an agent, and she was like, it's not that she didn't like it. She was like, just the market it's not gonna have a place for it, because it's very saturated for romance. And unless you have like a very high concept, it's gonna be very hard to sell it.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, so we put that to the side, and then life happened, and you know, I didn't really get her another book that wasn't romance and stuff like that. And she's having her second child. Congratulations. And so, you know, we amicably parted ways, because you know, I haven't really, you know, produced anything, and that's fine. And I, you know, so I just, you know, my husband was like, well, why don't you self-publish them? Because people are doing well self-publishing. Yes, dear one. Yeah, I can tell your mom's watching you so well. She hasn't even noticed you're gone. So my husband was just like, you know, why don't you self-publish? And then I went to Wicked book events, which was in Fort Lauderdale. It was actually the last year that Anna did it. And I had met a girl, her name's Janet. She's also an author, and you guys should go check out the books, because they're amazing. But anyways, so we met there. and she was just getting ready to self-publish her book, and so she was like hyping me up about doing it and all this stuff. So Janet also gave me, like, inspired me to self-publish, and so like it was my husband and Janet and a couple other people. So I really started diving into like the self-publishing, because I knew a lot about traditional publishing but really nothing about self-publishing. So I just started diving in and learning more and more about it. And gosh, there's so much to self-publishing. Like, anybody who thinks that it's like not as good, or like it's a lesser road than traditional publishing, is totally wrong, because I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I've worked in both ends of the spectrum, and it's just different paths. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you want and how you want to go for it and what you want to do. Right now, I am self-publishing my romantic suspense books, and I am working on a psychological thriller that I will query. And if that doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But that's I also think that the storefronts are going to be changing sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
With the way self-publishing is going. So I think we're in a time where we're seeing these huge changes in the industry. And now with the world, like, let's be real, it's everything is changing right now. So everything is up in the air, and it's all different paths, and it's all choices that we want to take. And I don't think there's a right or wrong for that. I just think it's what you want to do.
I absolutely agree. And I also think that there are key self-published authors who have also helped to change the way that publishing houses see us as self-published authors. I mean, you take Andy Ware, self-published first, and then got picked up by a publishing house. Same as
did The Martian.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to make sure I have my authors right.
And James, I mean, there's people love her books and some people don't. It's one of those things. However, she self-published and was doing it, sort of started off doing fan fiction, but she became, such a viral sensation with her fan fiction and everything else. She got picked up by a publishing house because, she got noticed as a self-published author first. So I think you're absolutely right. People underestimate the power of self-publishing. And it is tough.
I did. I 100% did. And it wasn't that I thought it was lesser or anything. It was like, I didn't think I could do it. If I'm 100% honest, I'm like, how am I going to market my own books? How am I going to get the covers? How am I going to do it all by myself? Like, that was my concern. Like, I didn't think I'd be able to do it. But then you realize as you're going into self-publishing that you're going to meet people on the same road as you, either just starting or ahead of you. And so many people are willing to help you. So many people are going to be like, hey, I know you want to do this, but maybe check this and this out, because you might decide you want to do this a little different.
Yes.
And it's just amazing how many people in the self-publishing industry are willing to help you out. And without that help, I don't even know where I'd be right now.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love, helping Wander on the Writers Rock group, because I've never known such a group of supportive authors, it's nice when you're surrounded by Wander and all the authors who are willing to give you a little bit of encouragement and a lift when you need it, advice when you need it. I think that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
It really does.
Having that with other authors. So tell me, what inspired your first book? What gave you?
So I actually, that first book that will never see the light of day, it was the first book that I queried, and I never should have. It was nowhere near ready to be queried. That was a urban fantasy. I can't even remember what it's called. That's sad.
She's blocked.
Oh my god. And it was an urban fantasy. It was really bad. It was bad. And then I had written that, and then I was querying that. And while I was querying that, I had started making, I was still in college, and I was talking to other people, and, I was learning a lot from stuff like Pitch Wars and all these people on Twitter, all these agents and stuff. And I was starting to kind of get more of an acclimation of, what was expected. And like manuscript wise, like how clean it should be and what you're looking for, and how to write a query letter, because God knows my original query letters were horrible, you know, kind of a stuff. So, you know, I learned a lot. And in that time, so this was circa 2014, because the book that I wrote that got me an agent, which is Redemption, which will also be self-published, if not this year, then early next, that I wrote in 6 months from start to finish, editing, everything. You know, so I did all that, and then I queried. I didn't get it. I had applied for Pitch Wars. I didn't get into Pitch Wars. I wrote this book, and then that same year, I wound up hearing from my agent at the time, and they loved my book. Or actually, I queried that year, and it was January, and it was actually on my anniversary with my husband. I was out to dinner on my anniversary that I got the call from the agent.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. That's a whole funny story in itself, because I missed the call because obviously my phone was on vibrate, and the light came on. I was like, what? And so I listened to the voicemail. My husband was like, go outside and call her, but I'm in Florida. She's in California. She'd already left for the day. So I was like, okay. So I left her a message to call me the next day, and she did, but I didn't realize the Bluetooth was on in my husband's car, and my phone was connected to it. So he's driving where the mic is, and I'm on this side. And she calls, and it just blares through the speakers, and then we rush to take it off, and then the music blares through the speakers, and I'm laughing and she's laughing, and it was just like, oh my God. So yeah, like nothing ever goes smooth for me. Nothing ever goes smooth.
Oh my God. Yeah, but at least life is all exciting.
yeah, no, it was. But so then, but that book, she loved it, and you know, everything, and we did extensive edits on it, and you know, I got a lot of people. Sorry, I got a lot of editors at the houses who loved it, but disliked it for a reason or another. So they didn't want to take it. So eventually that book was just passed on. And that happens to a lot of first novels. People may not realize that when you query, you can get an agent and your book still won't sell. And a lot of people go through 3 or 4 books before they get a book to sell. So it just kind of depends on a lot. And so, you know, so like I said, that book, now that I'm not going to re-query that book. I'm just going to, because it's already been with the editors at the houses and stuff. So I'm just going to self-publish that one as well, and do something clean to query an agent.
Fantastic. So obviously, I mean, you had a book released in January, which was Overboard. And Rachel's very kindly given us the link to that one. So what inspired you to write Overboard then? Tell us a little bit about it.
So Overboard is actually in the same series as Sins of the Flesh. It is the Crow's Nest series, and it's basically, I guess you can call it a modern day A-Team. They're veterans, though they're not ex-military con. They're veterans, and they all work at the Crow's Nest Marina in South Florida. Hey, South Florida. So they kind of help out people where the law fails them. So for the first book, Sins of the Flesh, it's about a tattoo artist. Her name is Cindy Sin Masters. She owns the tattoo shop, but she has a stalker. And you know, the cops can't really do anything because it's just letters. It's not saying out and out, I'm going to kill you. It's just these creepy letters, and you know, there's not much. So one of the guys she works with, you know, is like calls in these guys because he knows them from way back when, and you know, so they wind up helping her with that. And then I don't want to go into too much and spoil it, but so her stalker is just really creepy, we'll put it that way. So then he winds up killing her tattoo clients and cutting their tattoos from the flesh as trophies.
Whoa! That's intriguing.
Stalker. So anyways, so then this book, there's no cliffhanger in Sins of the Flesh. Overboard is about a different guy from the Crow's Nest Marina, and he finds a woman overboard at sea. While he's test driving one of the boats they just fixed. And so she is trying to prove that this guy murdered her sister, but he's a Russian diplomat. So he's kind of got all this community going on. And, you know, she had a couple mishaps trying to figure out who actually murdered her sister and wound up in a mental institution because of her obsession with it. So nobody really believes her anyway. So Miguel is there to kind of have her back because he does believe her, especially when they're attacked on the water after he pulls her out of it. So, you know, he's like, well, somebody's trying to kill you. So he's kind of the only one that believes her, while her parents just kind of want to put her back in the mental institution. And the cops are like, well, it's his word against yours, and what are we going to do? So then they go through the process of trying to prove that this guy actually murdered her sister while trying to survive the fact that he's still trying to kill her. So
that's amazing. I'm so intrigued. I can't read them. And your reviews are absolutely amazing. I was looking earlier. So far, your book Overboard has got a 5 out of 5 star reviews, which is
I haven't looked in a while. I don't.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. So what have you got coming up then?
Oh, there's a couple of things this year. If I can get to Redemption, which if that one doesn't come out, just because I'm obligated, I have some other contractual obligations with some other stuff. So Redemption, which is the one who got me the agent, is about the daughter of a serial killer. She returns to her hometown 20 years later, but she's been in WITSEC because when her father committed these murders, she was a young girl. And obviously she got the death threats and everything like that as a child. So they just put her into WITSEC. But she returns home.
Isn't that like protection, isn't
it?
Witness
protection. They basically changed let her change her identity and kind of grow up under a different guise. And she had her guy with the U.S. Marshals and stuff. But she returns home 20 years later, so she's in her late 20s because it's her father's execution. But nobody knows who she is because she's been in WITSEC. So long story short, she falls in love with the son of her father's last victim.
Wow.
So he was called the mommy murderer. He killed a bunch of moms trying to find the perfect mother to replace his dead wife. And so the man she falls in love with was the last woman he killed before he was caught.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So that's Redemption. And then there's an anthology that you guys, if you're watching, go pre-order. It is 99 cents. It's called Frighten Me. You can get it any store. All the proceeds are going to Lift for Autism. It is a charity anthology. It's going to come out October 27th. I will have a short story in there called Love in Pieces. It's me and a bunch of other amazing authors. And again, like I said, all the proceeds are going to Lift for Autism. It's 99 cents. Go pre-order. Go do your thing. It's really creepy.
If Rachel hasn't already, if she could put the link up for that, because I mean, autism's very close to my heart because I've got 2 nephews with autism. So yeah, that would be. So can we have the link, please, Rachel?
Rachel, oh, there she goes. She already did it because she's amazing like that. So she put all the links there for that. And actually, we got some of the new teasers. My teaser isn't out yet, but we've got some of the new teasers out today. So you can see, like if you go to my Instagram, my page, you'll see them. You can see all the teasers that are out so far, and they're going to be periodically coming out. And that again will be out October 27th, but it's only going to be available for a limited time. So once it's once it's off sale, guys, it's off sale. It's not coming back. So
interesting.
Yeah. So you got to make sure you pre-order. You definitely want to pre-order before it comes out. And then I will be having a book come out in the Samantha A. Cole's Suspenseful Seduction world, which she does the Trident series. And that will be coming out in the next few months. That's done. That's in the process of edits right now. So it's got a cover, it's got everything, but none of that's been released yet. But so that will be out in the next few months. And then I'm also part of the Cocky World, which if you don't know, that's part of the Cocky World series. And there's a bunch of amazing authors doing that one too. So I have not started on that one because life. But that's why I said Redemption might be out next year because I think I have to have that in November, which, if anything happens, I'm sure they'll give an extension considering the crazy circumstances. But I believe I'm supposed to turn that in November. So yeah, so a lot coming out this year. And then provided it's not canceled because of COVID, I'm also signing at Shameless 2020 in Orlando in November.
How exciting. So did you think that it would unfold like this and be such a positive experience?
I didn't think it would be an experience at all. I thought I was just like, this crazy person who thought she could write and can't write, and I'll write a book and nobody's going to read it. Who cares? Like, that's pretty much what I thought. Like, I didn't expect ever to even be blessed enough to have an agent who guided me so well. And then, be able to self-publish for ones that weren't doing well in the market. and stuff like that. So it's like, I think right now authors have a lot more options than they had 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whereas, there was only, kind of one path to publishing, and now there's so many, and there are hybrid authors that do both traditional and self-publishing. And
Excuse me.
You're good. Girl, I've been sneezing all day. I don't know why I'm not now. Apparently my allergies are just being nice. It's okay. And there's audio options, and there's, remember, like 20 years ago, you could only get books on tape. It's not like you could listen to them off your phone.
Right.
So even for readers, there's so many more options.
Is that something you're going to do, hopefully, is maybe go into audiobooks as well?
Go play outside, please. Sorry, now my dogs are tic-tacking around the floor. I have two dogs. I have an American Akita mix, and I have a German Shepherd Husky mix. Oh. So they decided that now is the time to play on the wood floor next to me. Hold on. Harley, Crowley, go. That's because my 3-year-old left the door open when he left. So I did have everybody out, the door shut.
It's guys. A miracle that mine haven't tried to get in, actually. I did. My daughter decided to literally plonk her head right there next to my face and start.
Because, and that's actually funny, because people are saying, like, for everybody working at home now and have all these Zoom meetings, that's pretty much what's happening to them too, because what are you going to do? It's kids and you're home with them. And, people have become so much more lenient and understanding of the fact that life is just going to come in to work and to interviews and to everything like that, so yeah. I mean, and I don't think it's a bad thing either. Like, I think it helps with that work-life balance, because you're not so stressed over work all the time. Those little moments actually give you that little bit of stress relief that you didn't know you needed.
Absolutely, even if it's just a little distraction for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
So when is your favorite time? I'm not worried about it. Honestly, it's fine. So when is your favorite time to write? If you could literally any time to sit down and get a load of writing done, when would that be?
If I got to choose, there's no such thing anymore. If I got to choose, I actually like to do more of the creative writing early in the morning, because by the end of the day, I need to do more of the technical, the editing, the whatever, because my brain has pretty much shut down between the workday and taking care of the kid and hanging out with the husband and doing dinner, and so I'm a lot more editor.
They say never work with children or animals.
I'm a lot more in editor mode in the evening, and then more creative in the morning. But a lot of times, even if I get up at 5 a.m., everybody hears me. Not that I'm loud. It's just like a sixth sense. Mom got out of bed. Mommy.
Yeah.
I mean, my kid doesn't have a solid sleeping schedule. He has his own room. He has his own bed. He loves his big boy bed. But like, it's just like he knows. It's like he has a sixth sense of when I move from my bed. Yeah. And right now we're sharing a room at me, Mom and Papa's. And so at like 3 a.m, he woke up the other night and he's like, "Good morning, Mommy." I'm like, "Nope, not morning. Let's go back to bed." I'm like, "Look, it's dark." He's like, "No, it's morning." So I had to take him out into the living room, and he's like, "Where's me, Mom, Papa?" I go, "Sleeping, because it's 3 a.m. "Oh, it's dark out." "Yes, baby, let's go back to bed." I mean, it's adventures, but I do like to do it earlier. I'm also like, I do it at night because sometimes that's the only time I have. Like, I just don't have the luxury of writing when I want to. I have to write when I have time to write. If I don't, then I don't get to write. So sometimes that's in the morning, sometimes that's at night, sometimes that's at 3 a.m. because he's actually sleeping and I can't sleep. So I'm going to be productive about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So it just depends. It just depends. Like before he was born, and I was still in school and everything like that, then it was just like, basically on days I didn't have classes, if I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was writing. Like I would write a lot more than I do now. And that's not necessarily like, I'm not upset because I have my kid and everything. Like I'm not upset that I don't write as much as I do. I just have to write when I can write. And I don't like I said, even if my brain is mush, I don't have that luxury of saying, okay, I don't want to write right now.
Yeah.
If I don't write, then I might not have time for the rest of the day. I have to take those moments that I have time and just sit down and do it. And sometimes that's handwriting on my tablet, because I have a stylus and stuff. So I'll do handwriting on my tablet, or typing away, or, you know, just jotting it down on a napkin, whatever I have near me, whatever. Sometimes that's just what it is. And then, you know, when he's asleep for the first few hours, normally I'm editing or something like that. So
that's the thing, isn't it? You just have to try and, you know, try and get as much creativity out of any little bit of time that we get.
Yeah, and I imagine it's super hard for a lot of people right now too, who, you know, even like the stay-at-home moms who might get some time when their kids were at school, or, you know, when their kid was napping, or whatever the case may be. They don't really have that anymore, because now they're home all the time because of the virus, you know. So I think a lot of people have had to fluctuate when they can write, and how their writing process goes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank goodness it's something that we can do around our lifestyles.
Yeah. Right now we're just all like, COVID, go away. We don't like you. Nobody ever liked you. Just go away.
Exactly.
Go away.
Exactly. Now, your creative writing classes and everything that you did at school, how much did that help you with your writing?
Immensely.
Really?
Honestly, immensely. So I started out I was working at a call center at the time, and I started out at my local community college, because in the state of Florida, if you get an associate's degree at a local community college, you automatically get entered into a university of your choice within the state.
Wow.
So I got my associates at the local community college, and I did a bunch of creative writing classes through there. I did poetry, I did fiction writing, I did stuff like that. And honestly, one of the teachers would sit down with me, because he's like, you're one of the ones who want this, so let's go over this. And so he would go over a lot of my work with me and be like, stop trying so hard. He's like, literally, you're trying too hard. Stop. And I was like, okay. You know, and he would just kind of like, I think I was exposed to literature and to types of writing I would not otherwise been exposed to. So when I went to FAU, I did a bunch of creative writing workshops. I was the fiction editor for the literary magazine. You know, so I was like taking night classes. I was taking day, whatever those fiction writing classes were. Yeah, I was in them. Like I did adolescent fiction. I did, you know, just creative writing. I did short story writing. I did any kind of alternate writing I could do. I did. And I just like, I'm going to kill 2 dogs. Hey, stop. Go outside and play. You have 2 acres of fenced in land that we came here so you could go and play. Go play. Sorry.
We don't want you, Mama.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, so I took as many writing as I could. And I think also what helped me was taking the fiction classes. And I don't mean that to say is like, you have to take every class of course, because I didn't. I took sci-fi, I took fantasy, I took genre literature, I took all the out of the ordinary. I mean, I had to take some that were required, which, you know, whatever, but a lot of them I got to pick out of these sets, and I would, you know, just take them. And I think I never would have been exposed to them had I not just, you know, just because I didn't know about them. And again, that's not to say that everything the professor said I thought was correct or whatever, but I think it gives you different perspectives that you wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
But I've also, I think, been lucky enough to gain as much knowledge by finding online communities. Like college didn't teach me how to write a query letter. College didn't, you know, teach me manuscript format, you know, stuff like that. I think the different types of exposure, it's great, but I also think there's a lot that you're not going to learn unless you're like maybe in an MFA course.
Yeah.
You're home? I think he's home.
Oh.
Okay. Are you going to go to work?
I take the bread for fishing.
Okay. Well, guess what? Mimo got you now. Bye.
He's
Sorry.
so cute.
Door, please.
It melts my heart.
Oh yeah, he takes his work cues from us, I think, because right now, obviously, you know, we have to tell him a lot. We're working because I'm working from home, and I would love to be playing with him, but I'm working, and so it's like, you know, distracting and stuff. So now he's like, okay, I gotta go to work. And then he'll come back, okay, I'm home. I'm like,
Thank God.
don't be a workaholic. I promise. It's not as glamorous as it seems.
Yeah.
So
now, you, but I actually found writing a query letter was more difficult than writing my book. Disagreeing.
Yeah. Like I said, my first query letter for the first book that I never should have queried was awful. It was god awful. Even the query letter that got me an agent, I went through 16 drafts.
Isn't it crazy? You torture yourself over them. Do.
Well, I was part of a website called Author Query Connect. At the time, they had a chat room where I met a bunch of wonderful people that helped me with it. And then, like I said, I also found out about Pitch Wars, which is a fantastic competition. I wouldn't call it a competition. It's not a competition. It's a mentor program.
Yeah.
And you basically are querying agented authors, and they help you shine up your query letter, shine up your manuscript, and then agents participate in this and they can request your manuscript, and it kind of get you above the slush, where if you're in the slush pile, it might take them 3 months to read it or whatever. And then if they see that it's a Pitch Wars entry and they requested it, they might read it sooner.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And that was amazing. And I actually got to be a mentor for that for 2 years. So that was fantastic. So I was a Pitch Wars mentor 2 years. Wait, 3 years. Just kidding, 3 years. 3 years. I had to think of, and believe it or not, the only reason I remembered I was 3 years because I had to think of how many mentees I had, and so that came to me, not how many years, but how many people did I get to mentor. So that was 3. I've been a query combat judge a couple of years, and that's kind of like where queries are pitted against each other, and we had these almost like we were spies with these code names and nobody knew who we were. The judges have to come in and give feedback and be like, this one wins this round. And then eventually the top query kind of gets looked at by the agents and stuff like that. So that was another really fun experience. And then I did New Agent, which was, I think it was the first chapter for that one, but it was like these newer agents were looking to start building their lists. So, we helped out these writers and then the agents came and they requested it and stuff like that. So I've done a lot of stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun to be able to give back and help other writers. So
yeah. Oh, well, I mean, as I said, writing a query letter is so tough because you're having to literally, toot your own horn and, try and I think that's one of the hardest things, isn't it, when somebody says, so what's your book about? Well,
look at how I just sat there and tongue-tied over myself trying to talk about my book 10 minutes ago. How much did I fumble? I'm like, tongue, shoulder, let's go.
It's crazy, isn't it? And it's just one of those things that I think most authors struggle with and
for sure. For sure. We all struggle with it. Nobody likes it. I don't think I know anybody who likes writing a query letter. And there may be. I don't know everybody, but I don't know anybody who likes it. Synopsis is worse though. Writing a synopsis to me is worse.
Yeah.
Because the query letter is like generally it's like 250 to 350 words for the meat. You've got your hook, you've got your characters, and you've got your stakes. Yeah. And then for a synopsis though, now you're literally just going detail by detail in the book, and you have to condense it to like a page or two, depending on what the requirements are. And it's like, shoot me.
It's so
hard. It's hard. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy. It's hard. But if you are querying, I would suggest going over to Query Shark. I don't know if she still does it, but even if she doesn't, the archives are worth going through. I read everything. Read the whole thing.
Yeah.
She gives so much information on writing queries. It's amazing. I would definitely suggest going there.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I was thinking of sharing some of the information on there with the Writers Rock group. I think a lot of it will be very, very useful.
Yeah. It's tough. It's not easy. And and even then, like what a lot of people I think don't understand about the traditional path is that it's not just having a great novel, it's the timing. It's what's going on in the market. Did a similar book get picked up 2 months ago? Stuff like that. It's and a lot of authors will tell you on the traditional path, they got very lucky. It just like the pieces all fell together for them. And it does happen. And that's not to say that if you get an agent that your first book is going to sell, mine didn't. And that doesn't mean you give up. I just decided to alter my path. And I said, okay, well, these books obviously aren't going to sell on the market for traditional. So there are other things I want to write. So I will attempt with those while I self-publish, because right now self-publishing is where the romance genre is at.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, you know, you never know what's going to trend, what's going to happen in life. I mean, apparently the movies all to do with pandemics and viruses and everything else, all of a sudden that was all everybody was watching.
Yeah, no, see, I can't and I was just having this conversation about, there are authors, and it's fine, it's totally cool, like I'm not upset about it, like go for it, write about the pandemic, but to me it's like I want to read about anything but there are people who are absolutely going for these books, and that's amazing. But in my mindset, I'd probably shoot myself writing about the pandemic right now. Like I've had enough. Yeah. I want to write about anything but, I want to read about anything but. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with writing it. There's nothing wrong with reading it. It's just not something I can wrap my head around, because to me, it's just not where
we just want to escape from it all.
Exactly. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be in reality with COVID. I don't. Like, go home, COVID. Nobody wants you here. I said it again. I'm on TikTok, and there was this guy who did a skit, and he was like, Corona the virus, get your ass in this house and leave those nice people alone. And I mean, it blew up on TikTok, and it was a cute little skit, and it was like that mom yelling at their kid. It was like me yelling at my kid today because he didn't want to come inside and a storm's coming, and I'm like, Lincoln, if you don't get your butt over here. I mean, we're in Florida, we have lightning people. I don't need this kid running around in a thunderstorm. But just and what else are you going to do? You have to either make light of it or do something just to kind of decompress, because it's very intense and it's very scary, and people deal with it in their own way. And that's why I'm like, if writing about it makes you feel better, and if reading about it makes you feel better in a fictional capacity, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Now, as we before we finish, what would you say has been the best thing about your writing journey, and what has been the worst? First, and then uplifters.
The worst was probably obviously my book not selling. That sucked. And because it's like you print out the editors that have it from the email you get from your agent, and they tell you these are, or at least mine did, this is the editors that have it. This is the houses they're with. This is the department of the houses they're with, because some of them have different branches. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. And so like you're waiting for these emails, which some of them took over a year. So the waiting process is like just but then you're like crossing it out, like this one didn't want it, but look, we've still got 5 more. Well, this one didn't want it, now there's 4 more, so that kind of sucks. And it's like, all right, but you have to realize that this is the most subjective industry on the planet. Like, no, it just is. It just is
business. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I kind of licked my wounds and started writing again. I mean, not that I ever stopped, but I had a glass of whiskey and I got back to it. It's just that sucked, and that was probably like the worst. And then I think the best was knowing that people actually liked my books. And again, I don't expect everybody to like them, but even just having like one person who's like, I loved your book, like it's just, I don't expect to make $1 million. I don't expect to be like this huge famous author. I don't. But so if I just hear from like 1 or 2 people that they really enjoyed my book, that makes me excited. And that's just like, all right, cool. It's like, because I think nobody could like my stuff and I'd still write, just because I've always wanted to. I just write. I don't care if I write one scene of something that will never go anywhere. It just gets tucked away, and maybe it'll get pulled out later. I don't know, but it's something I'm always going to do, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I'm always going to keep striving to learn new things. Like I just got the masterclass series, and I'm doing Joyce Carol Oates' masterclass, and then I'll do Neil Gaiman's, and then whoever else is on there. So I sit there and I'm also reading, and I'm going to butcher his name. I always do. Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club. He just put out a writing book. So really? I'm reading that. Yes. Consider this I believe that's what it's called. And it's kind of like half biography, half writing advice, and it's really amazing so far. I've already marked it up quite a bit. I'm that person who writes in the books and highlights the books and makes the notes in the books. My dogs have pages too. I'm horrible.
Books, they're your books.
I'm always going to strive to learn, and I know I'm always going to make mistakes, and I hope to always learn from those mistakes, and not just kind of become a better writer, but become a better person by learning from the mistakes. Because just my opinion, I think in this world that a lot of us take offense to our mistakes, and we don't necessarily want to admit that we made those mistakes. And I just think that we should be more open-minded to listening to other people. And not everybody's right. I'm not saying listen to everybody. I'm just saying sometimes if you're getting repeat content about something, then maybe it's time to take a look at that content, whether it's something in your book or it's something of your personality. And again, I'm not perfect. I am far from it. I cuss, I drink. I know I have some probably crazy thoughts, whatever the case may be. But I'm human and I will make mistakes, but I hope I can learn from them and be a better person all around, because I want my kid to take away the best. Like I know he's going to see the worst of me, but I want him to also take away the best from me so that he can learn to be a better person too, whatever he may decide to do in life.
Yeah, I think nearly all of us feel the same way. It's nice to try and set an example to your kids where you can show that you have a dream of doing something and you're actually trying to do it.
Yeah. Well, my kid knows how to use the F-bomb, and that was my bad. But that's why I said I make mistakes, and now I'm like fudge. I have to say that. Fudge. And he's like fudge. I'm like, yes, fudge. And that's I'm like, so, and he repeats things now, so you got to be more careful. But and so I just I think as parents, as people, as authors, we're all just kind of trying to do the best we can. Especially now in this crazy world of COVID and murder hornets and West Nile that's now in Miami. And
oh my gosh,
hurricane season's coming, guys. We just had our first tropical storm off the coast. It's coming. By the way, this is whiskey, in case you were wondering.
See, and I'm there being a good girl drinking coffee in my unicorn mug.
I have water too, but yeah, no, I
oh my god.
I don't pretend to be a good girl. I just I might not be a good girl, but I hope
but
overall a decent person at least. So
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun talking to you.
You are absolutely wonderful. I think you're fabulous. I love you to bits.
Thank you.
We've got all your links under the comments, which is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Rachel?
Oh no, thank you, Rachel. If you wouldn't mind just checking over for the next few days or so, just
for sure.
Comments. Obviously, some people have had to go back to work.
Of course.
Timetables and everything else. So some people aren't going to see the video until later or tomorrow.
Yeah, and guys, feel free to tag me because I know this is going to be in the Writers Rock group, which I'm a part of. So feel free to tag me in the comments. And, if I don't see it or whatever, just poke me on Messenger. I don't bite. I mean, but no, I don't bite you. Just hit me up. And that's whether, you want writing advice, which I'm not necessarily qualified to give, but if I can help you, I will. So
you are awesome. Thank you so much, darling. And hopefully, if we can do another interview when your next release comes out, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. I should have more definitive dates probably within the next 2 weeks when I finish up this current book, the edits of it, and then I get it over to Samantha, and then she'll give me a definitive date, which is when we start putting out the graphics and the teasers and everything like that. So I'll definitely have a more definitive date then. And then, like I said, Frighten Me, guys, get the Frighten Me collection. It's 99 cents. All proceeds go to Lift for Autism. You definitely want to pick that up because you get a bunch of awesome stories, and the Lift for Autism organization gets some money. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. And people will get to be introduced to some new authors as well, which is fantastic.
Yes. So
win round.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, thanks so much for having me. You are amazing. And you, you know, I know you're worried because this is the first time you used StreamYard. You did amazing. And, you know,
it's worked out really, really well, hasn't it? I'm really impressed. I think we might stick with this one.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I had heard of it before, but I never did it. So, but you're like a pro here. You did it. You're awesome.
We're off and running. We're off and running. Thank you so much, darling. I love you to bits. And I'm so excited to read your books, especially now you've described them to me. Because,
well, like I said, guys, remember, Sins of Flesh, we know it has some errors. It's okay. But, you know, hopefully you like the story. I know there's grammar errors. I'm working on it.
you're already getting fantastic reviews, even with those minor errors. So, you know what I mean? You rock. Yeah. You absolutely rock. Thank you so much, darling. And
thank you so much.
Hopefully we'll get to speak again soon.
Absolutely. I will be around. You guys have a most wonderful night. Happy writing, happy reading, and stay safe with all this going on, guys. Take care.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. See you later, darling. Thank you again. Bye.